So we're going to lecture a little bit on constructors. In Java, what a constructor is it's a class that has the same name, it's a method that has the same name as a class, and it is invoked by the new keyword. So when you create an object, you can pass data in. So we're going to create a new project, and it's going to use a simple class. What are we going to make the class? I don't know, maybe a circle class. So let's create the client first. And we're going to create our class with our constructor separately. This is going to be the client code. Main is where the client will be. So this is the future client of the circle class. Now let's add a circle class. Now really I should put the class in its own file. But just so that I can look at the two pieces of code together on the same screen, let's give making the circle class in the same file. Good programming practice dictates that each class goes in its own file, and I'm not really obeying that. But I can move it to its own file after I do this. Okay, so our circle class is going to have 2 bits of information. And let's make them private just so that the client class cannot change that data. What do we need to know? We need to know the radius. And let's make that a double. And let's give the circle a color. And, we're not going to actually write a program that displays circles on the screen, but, it's plausible. So, there we go. Now, we probably want setters and getters for this, so that we could get the color, we could get the radius, we could set the color, we could set the radius. I could add those myself, or I can let NetBeans do it. I'm going to do it the fast way and let NetBeans do it. So I'm going to choose refactor, encapsulate fields, and I'm going to say, please give me a get radius, a get color, a set radius, and a set color. And there it goes. Now it fluffed it up with a whole bunch of Java.doc comments that I'm actually going to remove just for the purposes of the video. We would normally leave these on there. So to make this take up even less space, I am going to put each method just in a single line of code. And again, this isn't great programming. It's just to get it to fit all on one screen. As much of it in one screen as possible for the purposes of the video. There we go. We have a very simple circle class. It supports 2 data elements. They've been set private. And we have several methods, getters and setters, also known as mutators and accessors. The accessors are the get functions. The mutators are the set function. Okay. And then we'd go on and we'd add some, get area function, some use for the circle, whatever, public, double, get area, and the formula for the area is pi r squared. So return math.pi times math.power of the radius to the power of 2. Like that. Okay. Just about fit on one line. Not quite. This one I may actually. No, I'm going to leave it like that. You saw what I did. Put the closing brace there where it's visible. And if I close this window a little bit, we have more space. There we go. Down here, we're going to use that class. Let's make a couple circles. Circle C1 is equal to a new circle. Circle C2 is equal to a new circle. Now let's C1.setColor, we're going to say this is a red circle. C2.setColor, we're going to say that this is a green circle. C1.setRadius has a radius of 10 units, whatever those units are. C2.setRadius has a radius of 20. Now, just to make the class easier to use, I'm going to add a toString method so that I can print information out about the class. This is not really involving constructors, but it is showing the complete creation of a class. So public string, toString, and so I'm going to build a string format, circle, and it's a blue circle with a radius of whatever. So color colon %s, radius colon %.2f. And then let's pass our data elements in. This dot color, this dot radius. And then we want to return our string. Okay, so I could use that down here. I could print circle 1 and I could print circle 2 now. System.out.println C1, system.out.println C2. And since we have a toString method now, then when we execute this and it needs to be converted to a string, since the first parameter of a print statement is always a string, then it will invoke this function and it'll create some information about it and return that so we can print it. Let's test this. Alrighty, here we go. This circle is red with a radius of 10. This circle is green with a radius of 20. But wouldn't it be nice if we had a constructor that would allow us to create a circle like this? Let's create a third circle. Circle C3 is equal to new circle. And wouldn't it be cool if we could say, I want a yellow circle, and it has a radius of 15. And you've seen this syntax before, whenever you instantiate a scanner. Now, we don't have a constructor up here of any kind. Java provides the class with a default constructor, which is a constructor that takes no parameters. But if we want to make a constructor that does cool stuff like this, this is called a parameterized constructor, custom constructor. It's going to take 2 values. So let's come up here and add a constructor. I'm going to put it underneath our variables here. So a constructor is a function that has the same name as the class, and it has no return type. And if you want to pass data into it, you can add parameters. And I do. I want to pass in the color, and then the radius. Once we're inside the constructor, we want to set our member variables, our instance variables, equal to those values passed in. So this dot radius is equal to the radius that was passed in right there. And this dot color is equal to the color that's passed in. And now we save the code and we come down here and great, that's not an error. We could actually do that. We could print our third circle and it'd be great. Unfortunately, when we did that, that broke our default constructor. The default constructor is the one that Java provides you that doesn't accept any parameters. So if you provide your own constructor that does accept parameters, Java stops giving your class the automatic default constructor. So to get these 2 bits of code to work, I would have to go back and add a constructor that didn't accept any parameters. And I'm not going to even make it do anything. That's enough. That's enough to get these two statements to compile again. So now when we run it, we should see a yellow circle with a radius of 15 mixed in with our reds and our greens. So we run it, here we go. Here's our output. We have a red circle, a green circle, and the yellow one with the radius of 15. And since we used a constructor, we did not have to call set color on it. We saved some programming time. In order to set the values of C1, we had to call C1 set color and C1.set radius, and so on for as many different members that we wanted to set to our specified values. But providing a radius, we give ourselves a quick way of setting values, setting member variables inside the code, making the code, a little bit easier to use. You create your circle. You don't have to call set color and set radius on it if we do it in this fashion. So if I wanted to, I could comment these lines out. And then I could put these colors in. So C1 is supposed to be red with a radius of 10. C2 is supposed to be green with a radius of 20. And then we could get rid of these completely. And you have to admit that that's a lot cleaner than how it looked before we added the constructor. So to scroll back up, our parameterized constructor, let's get to it. We'll right click on it and do navigate, go to source. Here's the source code for that constructor. It accepts a string and it accepts a double, and it sets the member variables, the instance variables, according to those values passed in.